the male protagonist travels to a parallel world. He found out that he actually has 38 mothers. And each mother is so kind and amiable. He wanted to grow up healthily. He always puts in a lot of effort to score 1 point, just afraid of accidentally surpassing his intellectually disabled brother and being killed by his stepmother. Pei Ling grew up in the Deep Mist sect, which is known for upholding justice and protecting the people from harm. He has an exceptionally talented father and 38 mothers. He has to serve his stepmother's handmaid diligently every day, fearing that she might accidentally reward him heavily. He returns to his home, which is even more rundown than the toilet. The male lead chuckles and thinks, "Today, I have successfully survived another day." However, these days are about to come to an end. After enduring 18 years of hardships and struggles, the male lead has finally gathered 300 lower-grade spiritual stones. System, activate. Name, Pei Ling race, human stage, chi refining stage, second layer system status, inactive. Detected sufficient spiritual stone to activate the system. May I ask if the host would like to activate the system? The male protagonist decisively selected yes. After waiting for 18 years, would there be any fool who would choose no? As the operation interface dissipated, the system suddenly popped up with the classic Windows 95 operating system. Pei Ling was instantly shocked and changed her art style. So many pitfalls, forget it, having something is better than nothing. Pei Ling searched through the cultivation technique selection interface. He finally found the only cultivation technique that he could cultivate. Bone tempering art. This is a demonic doubt cultivation technique. People with weak willpower will die in agony from the unbearable pain of bones shattering into pieces. Upon seeing the cultivation time starting at 10 years, Pei Ling was speechless. After barely surviving for 18 years, does he have to cultivate for dozens more years? Suddenly, Pei Ling noticed a one-click cultivation system below. He knew by looking at this fancy button that this was no ordinary feature. After he clicked, a mysterious force filled the body of the male lead. At the same time, a message from the system appeared. One-click hosting, intelligent upgrading in progress. Friendly reminder. During the cultivate period, the host will lose control of the body. Please do not panic, host. Afterwards, the male lead discovers that his body has begun to cultivate autonomously. As waves of pure spiritual power flow into his body, Pei Ling not only sighs, but also feels really comfortable. Sure enough, this kind of system is perfect for someone like me, a king. Jian Dao is an honest system. The system suddenly sends a prompt. Detected that cultivate is lacking bone-quenching Dan, please wait. The male protagonist thought, there are not many bone-quenching Dan even amongst the big shots of the entire Pei clan sect. I haven't even seen one. Where can I find bone-quenching Dan? Suddenly, the system prompted again. Analysis complete. The system will give away 10 bone-quenching Dan for free. The male protagonist was overjoyed. Is this the newbie welfare? Suddenly, the male protagonist's body stood up by itself. He kicked open the door. His body ran towards a certain place. The male lead was suddenly shocked. Damn, I've been loafing around for 18 years and have never run so wildly in this yard before. When he reaches the destination, the male lead discovered that this was actually the residence of the sect's grand demon. Pei Ling begged the system not to act impulsively and could just take a look and leave. The next second, he kicked open the door. Then he charged straight in towards Pei Ling, shouting loudly, Stop! I'm being mentally power-washed by chaos. He charged straight towards the main house, sparks flying with lightning. Luckily, the system finally stopped at the main house's entrance. Pei Ling just breathed a sigh of relief. In the blink of an eye, the system punched through the door. The male lead's heart turned to ashes in an instant. You should know that this is Zhang Jingshan's room. He is a big demon who dares to kill even his own father. The system took control of his body and swaggered over to the cabinet. The system pulled open a drawer and sure enough, there was a bottle of bone-quenching Dan inside. The system then prompted that the 10 bone-quenching Dan had been successfully gifted. The intelligent system will continue to cultivate for you. Pei Ling poured out the Dan pill and had to shove it into his mouth. He felt bitter in his heart. Do you dare to call this giving bone-quenching dawn as a gift? Isn't this sending a head over 1,000 miles away? It's not over yet. After swallowing the Dan pill, the system unexpectedly sat down on the spot to cultivate in a carefree manner. Pei Ling is tired. Let the system do whatever it wants. But this bone-quenching Dan is indeed a good thing. After taking it, the cultivation speed has increased by more than 10 times compared to before. As the flow of meridians in the body surges, the power of Pei Ling's technique is visibly increasing at a rapid speed. The clash of gold and iron resonates, causing muscles to tremble. Voodoo exorcism, breaking free from constraints. Qi refining stage 3 layer, breakthrough. He is indeed the male lead. He easily achieved what others couldn't. Later, the system ended Pei Ling's body hosting, still looking forward to the male lead giving a 5-star rating. Pei Ling is not an ungrateful person. He silently recited Turtling art in his heart, decisively raised his middle finger, and gave a 1-star rating, just as Pei Ling was still immersed in the pleasure of revenge. Suddenly, laughter of a woman's sneer came from all around. Pei Ling turned around nervously to look. It turned out that the woman on the screen had come back to life. She even invited Pei Ling to come in and cultivate the great Tao together. Pei Ling was scared when he saw the ghostly hand reaching out to him. He hurriedly retreated repeatedly. Fortunately, he had just made a breakthrough, and his physical fitness far surpassed what it used to be. After a few dodges, he flipped into the backyard of Zheng Manor, just as he was about to marvel at his pure self nearly failing to keep his chastity. Suddenly, a gloomy voice came from behind him. "Seventh young master, what are you doing?" He wants Pei Ling to go to the main hall to gather with clan leader to make an announcement. Pei Ling, feeling guilty, asks if Zheng Jingshan has returned to the mansion to rest. The servant impatiently replies, "No, don't be long-winded. Be careful of the family rules." Pei Ling immediately dashed off. He thought to himself, it seems that Zheng Jingshan went straight to the main hall as soon as he came back. He still doesn't know that I stole his Dan pill. And Pei Manor has always had strict family rules. If he doesn't show up for the meeting without a valid reason, father will immediately send experts to arrest him. A moment later, Pei Ling arrived at the main hall of the family. Disciple Zheng Jingshan of the Deep Mist sect sat in the main seat, while clan leader accompanied him on the side. Pei Ling hid among the crowd, feeling nervous and apprehensive. Seeing all the tribespeople gathered together, Zheng Jingshan issued the task. The traitor Wu Tingxi from our sect has defected to Yuanlao Mountain today. Everyone must immediately enter the mountain to search for him. A reward of 50 bone-quenching dawn will be given to those who find his trail. Pei Ling thought that Deep Mist sect is truly extraordinary, as they offer 50 bone-quenching dawn as soon as they take action. Even the clan leader on the side was stunned by this generous reward. Seeing Zheng Jingshan's slightly angry expression, "Why are you all still standing there foolishly? Hurry up and take action." Pei clan leader quickly stood up to explain to Celestial Master. "Please don't misunderstand. We have only heard that Wu Tingxi's cultivation level has reached the 7th layer of Qi refining, while our family disciple is weak in strength and may not be competent. For Zheng Jingshan, the 7th layer of the Qi refining stage is insignificant, but for Pei Manor, it is like a towering mountain. You should know that in this world, the cultivate stage is divided into Qi refining stage, foundation establishment stage, and core formation stage. Pei clan leader has also just reached the Qi refining 7 layer. The great demon Zheng Jingshan has long been at the middle foundation establishment stage. In other words, the entire Pei family can be easily destroyed by Zheng Jingshan. At this moment, Zheng Jingshan calmly remarked that Wu Tingxi has already been seriously injured. Even a cultivator newly stepping onto the Tao could easily defeat him. Moreover, I asked you to locate him, not to physically apprehend him." He snapped his fingers after finishing speaking. A man with a gloomy face and cold, stern eyes, wearing loose hair, appears. "This is Wutingxi. If you find any trace of him, immediately send a signal, and I will come personally to capture him." The crowd heard this, and unanimously agreed. Pei Ling secretly delighted in his heart, planning to leave the city later and flee thousands of miles away. On the other side, Zheng Jingshan returned to his mansion, but did not go back to his own room. Instead, he went to a more secluded retreat at the back, where there were wind chimes made of skulls hanging from the roof's eaves. Just one glance made Zheng Jingshan feel dizzy, as if a formation had been triggered. The woman inside the house spoke indifferently, asking, "Have you found the person?" Zheng Jingshan replied that Wutingxi carried the secret tome and escaped into Yuanlao Mountain. "I have instructed the Pei clan." Useless. Before he could finish, he was interrupted by a cold reprimand from the people in the room. "If you don't find the Sixth Desire's secret tome within 3 days, this seat will extract your soul to refine the artifact." Just half a day ago, the male lead followed a group of fellow disciples to the foot of Yuanlao Mountain because he had just stolen the Dan pill from the great demon leader Zheng Jingshan. He planned to take advantage of the demon leader not having discovered yet and make a quick getaway. Pei Ling has already prepared an escape plan in advance. He first went to the nearest neighboring city, then changed his appearance to blend in with a traveling caravan. At that time, won't he have the freedom to roam the seas and soar the skies, just like a bird in the vast sky, while the male lead is fully focused on escaping? Pei Ling suddenly felt weak in the legs and her body turned cold. This is something that has never happened to him since he embarked on the path of cultivation by opening the vital channels. He then fell to the ground with a thud. He thought to himself, "This must be the doing of that mysterious screen." But why was he fine before in Zheng Jingshan's room? Could it be because the system was controlling my body at that time? He felt his mind becoming increasingly dull. Pei Ling didn't have time to think much, so she quickly called upon the system. "System, I want to cultivate the intelligent immortal cultivation system dedicated to serving you." After the system took over his body, Pei Ling instantly became more powerful, as he roared with all his might in a formation. The female ghost who was just showing off her power was immediately punched and dispersed by Pei Ling. Sure enough, with the system in place, those female ghosts dare not attack me. Suddenly, a system prompt sounded in his ear, detecting that the host's qi and blood were greatly deficient. Continuing to cultivate would lead to irreversible damage. To help the host regulate qi and blood, the system will provide 3 vital essence pills for free. Once again terrified, "Damn it, the system is giving out medicine again?" The male lead shouted loudly, "Don't!" However, his body honestly twisted backwards. He ran wildly towards the Yuanlao Mountain he had just escaped from. Meanwhile, in a cave deep inside Yuanlao Mountain, an old man with a face like dried bark sighed as he lamented his current situation. He took out the last bottle of vital essence Dan from his bosom. Just as he was about to swallow it, Pei Ling appeared beside the man. He swiftly snatched the jade bottle from the old man before anyone could react. He immediately poured out 3 vital essence pills and swallowed them in one gulp. He casually threw the bottle into the corner, and the system immediately sent a prompt. "Vital essence Dan has been sent out. The system will continue to cultivate for you." Afterward, he directly sat cross-legged in place to cultivate. The sudden situation stunned the old man on the spot, causing him to cultivate qi refining at the 3rd layer and even fight for the vital essence Dan. "I have been cultivating my whole life, and this is the first time I have seen such an arrogant person." His anger instantly broke through his rationality. "I will kill you." He lifted the jade bottle and smashed it towards the male lead's head. Detected external attack. This cultivate session ends here. If satisfied, please give a 5-star rating. Yeah right, I'm so satisfied, your grandma's leg. The enraged old man Pei Ling is begging for mercy. He was directly knocked out by a strike of the 5-venom finger, flying 20 meters away. As the smoke cleared, Pei Ling was sitting paralyzed on the ground, unable to move. Pei Ling's mind raced as she looked at the 5 blood marks on her arm. The old man is too strong. He will undoubtedly die if this continues. He must find a way to hold him back. When he saw Pei Ling actually used his left arm to block his 5-venom finger, the old man's face changed, quietly activating his vision. He found that Pei Ling had actually cultivated top-grade iron bone. He speculated that the male protagonist must have had some fortuitous encounter that led him to approach Pei Ling to question her. How do you refine top-grade iron bone? Seeing the elder Pei Ling, who looked full of murderous aura, quickly apologized. He knew he shouldn't have snatched the vital essence Dan, but as for top-grade iron bone, he really didn't know. He thought to himself, let's just deceive this old man for now. But unexpectedly, the old man's words instantly made the situation tense. You entered the mountain, probably to capture me, right? Pei Ling waved her hands repeatedly in fear. He realized that if he admitted to this, he would probably be beaten to death on the spot. He then went on to recount in detail how he had stolen the bone-quenching Dan. The old man was also shocked when he heard it, never expecting that this kid would have such great courage. He actually dares to steal from Zheng Jingshan. Are young people really being so reckless these days? Pei Ling shly touched her head and said, It's just being young and reckless. Who hasn't made mistakes before? And Jingshan hasn't returned home all this time just to catch you. He still hasn't realized that I destroyed his old base. Pei Ling saw the old man being subdued by his eloquence, and quickly showed a flattering expression on his face, saying, We have a common enemy. We are a perfect match made in heaven and on earth. The old man shook off Pei Ling's hand with a disgusted look on his face and said, If that's the case, why did you try to steal my vital essence Dan? Pei Ling quickly explained, I had no other choice, Daoist friend. Do you know that Zheng Creeper has a screen embroidered with a beauty on it? The old man's face changed drastically upon hearing this. You've actually seen the seductive ghost and Rakshasa painting, and you're still alive? Seeing the old man's reaction, Pei Ling suddenly felt extremely scared. He had looked at that thing a lot back then. He then explained that he had been tormented by a female ghost all the way and, in desperation, had to snatch Daoist friend's vital essence Dan to save his own life. The old man muttered to himself, Indeed, with your current strength, it's absolutely impossible to resist the devouring of the seductive ghost and Rakshasa painting. Immediately, the old man's expression changed, and he smirked, saying, Since that's the case, how about we make a deal? As long as Pei Ling can help him escape from Yuanlao Mountain, he will share this cultivation technique with the male lead. Pei Ling disdainfully glanced at him. He looks quite ordinary. Wu Tingshi instantly became furious. What do you little brat know? This is the unattainable white moonlight that Zheng Jingshan desires. They resorted to all means to obtain this cultivation technique and harmed my sect in the process. If I hadn't sensed something was wrong beforehand, I would have been killed by Zheng Jingshan long ago. The old man held the jade slip in his arms, and said with apparent grievance. At this moment, the system suddenly prompted. Discovered an unfamiliar cultivation technique from the outside, the system is currently recording it. Pei Ling was surprised. She hadn't expected the system to have such a good feature, but the recording speed is a bit slow. Pei Ling can only try to desperately delay the time. Wu Tingshi sees Pei Ling's impatient appearance. He slapped the male lead on the head. He wants this kind of effect. Then he put the jade slip back into his arms, unaware that the cultivation technique had already been recorded. Recording completed. Please name it, host. At this time, there was no time to think about a name, so let's just call it No Name Cultivation Technique. His priority now is to escape from here first. Later, Pei Ling will pretend to help the old man. Suddenly, he turned his head and exclaimed, Zheng Jingshan, how did you come here? Wu Tingshi was scared out of his wits and peed in his pants. Pei Ling took the opportunity to slip away quickly. By the time Wu Tingxi realized what had happened, there was no one around him. Wu Tingxi was furious, daring to play tricks on me. He casually released a Kamehameha towards Pei Ling. Pei Ling was so frightened that she ran around in confusion and ended up running into a dead end. Watching as Wu Tingxi approached relentlessly, Pei Ling secretly calculated in her mind. Her own body had long since recovered, while Wu Tingxi's current strength was at most only about 30 to 40% of his usual. She was confident in winning this battle. Then, with an angry shout, he executed a shoulder throw and flipped Wu Tingxi to the ground. He looked at the dying Wu Tingxi. Pei Ling quickly delivered a fatal blow. He also casually took the jade slip and Dan pill away. He was planning to leave here and continue to flee. A familiar sense of weakness from the formation struck again. He recalled the curse uttered by Wu Tingxi just before his death. Pei Ling, helpless, had to return to the Pei Manor once again. He intends to trade the jade slip with Zheng Jingshan to unlock the ghost poison. Who knew that Zheng Jingshan was not in the mansion? He was instead informed that there was an even more powerful presence in the mansion. Zheng Jingshan is just an ant in front of her. She is Li Linares, the next saintess of the Deep Mist sect. The woman just used a single glance to oppress Pei Ling, forcing her to kneel on the ground. In order to save her life, Pei Ling hurriedly confessed to the saintess. He hoped that she could help him remove the ghost poison. The saintess inquired about the whereabouts of Wu Tingxi. Pei Ling replied that Wu Tingxi has already passed away. As for the jade slip on his body, it has been hidden somewhere by himself. He only hopes that the saintess can save his life. Seeing Pei Ling seriously injured by the 5-venom palm, the saintess knew that what Pei Ling had said was true. She casually threw out a bottle of Dan pill. She told Pei Ling that as long as she took the Dan pill, she would be able to unlock the headfirst power of the 5-venom finger by meditating. As for the curse of the seductive ghost and Rakshasa painting on Pei Ling, once she retrieves the jade slip, Zheng Jingshan will be able to lift it. She then turned around. She instantly disappeared. Pei Ling has just been released from the pressure of Li Linares. Who would have thought that the curse on him would flare up again? And now he must endure until Li Linares returns. And his only means is to rely on the system to cultivate. Looking at the familiar cultivation technique selection interface, he recalled his 2 previous experiences of cultivating the bone tempering art. Pei Ling decisively chose the no-name cultivation technique. One-click hosting, intelligent cultivate now starts hosting cultivate. Familiar system sound rings in the ear. Pei Ling once again experienced the ultimate comfort. And on the other side, Li Linares also successfully obtained the secret tome. But she hasn't had a chance to check out the sudden mutation yet. An attack suddenly struck out from the secret tome. Luckily, her profound skill allowed her to dodge this fatal blow. The secret tome then floated in midair, gradually converging into the appearance of an old man. It turned out to be Deep Mist Sect Outer Elder Luo Chao Li Linares. I didn't expect that he still had a remnant soul hiding in the secret tome. She saw Luo Chao attacking towards her. Li Linares remained calm and gathered the spiritual qi in her hands without any panic. She summoned a ferocious giant snake, which turned out to be the soul-binding chain that specializes in subduing lingering souls. The old man was tightly entwined by the giant snake and could not break free. Seeing no hope of turning the situation around, Luo Chao made up his mind to perish together with the woman. Then, the entire soul rapidly expanded. Li Linares did not expect Luo Chao to be so decisive. He sacrificed his soul to destroy the secret tome. She immediately leaped high, rushing towards Luo Chao regardless of everything. She bravely withstood the self-explosion of the Golden Core cultivator and successfully took the secret tome by force. But she herself was also seriously injured and needs to quickly return to the mansion for proper rest and recuperation. But what she doesn't know is that Pei Ling's system is about to act up again. At the same time, Pei Ling, who is cultivating the no-name cultivation technique, is secretly pleased. I didn't expect that this cultivation technique would be so captivating to practice. Suddenly, the system prompts that the no-name cultivation technique is a dual cultivation technique and requires a Taoist partner to continue cultivation. Detection of the host's lack of a Taoist partner. The system will provide a Taoist partner Pei Ling for free. The host is speechless. Here we go again? Later, the system manipulated Pei Ling's body to start running wildly, causing Pei Ling's mentality to instantly explode. If the system continues to mess around and doesn't play dead, you won't stop, right? Either you treat the whole Pei Manor as your Taoist partner, who consists of either blood sisters or relatives like uncles and aunts. The system quickly arrived at the destination, unexpectedly finding it to be the cloud-lit pavilion of the Saintess. Pei Ling is still harboring unrealistic hopes. We must have come to the wrong place, right? Verily must still be outside the city at this moment. But the next second, the system decisively pushed open the gate. He walked straight towards the courtyard. Pei Ling was glitching like a broken NPC. System, you are great. Let's face challenges together. Li Lunaris, who was healing, noticed a figure outside the house. However, she did not think much of it, thinking that he had come to find her to lift the curse of the seductive ghost and Rakshasa painting. She said lightly, I will take care of it for you later. But unexpectedly, Ping kicked the door open with a loud bang. At the same time, the system also struck a pose, considering itself very handsome. Li Lunaris was very angry. A fierce attack instantly struck towards Pei Ling. At the same time, Pei Ling also threw a bright green pill given by Wu Tingxi. The pill exploded in midair, and the thick smoke engulfed the entire room. After the smoke dispersed, Li Lunaris fell to the ground, feeling weak all over. I didn't expect that Wu Tingxi's trump card, the sevenfold soul-suppressing powder, would end up in his hands. Soon after, she collapsed due to exhaustion. Pei Ling didn't expect Li Lunaris to fall like that. Could it be that the system is too powerful, or does she have injuries on her body? The system then slowly helped the woman onto the bed. Pei Ling thought, thank goodness this ruthless system has some conscience. But this woman is not to be touched. We should leave as soon as possible. But the next moment, the system reached out its hand in front of Saintess. He lifted the veil that covered the woman's face, and was stunned by the stunning beauty of her enchanting face. Pei Ling was instantly captivated. Taoist partner's gift has been delivered. Now, let's begin the formal cultivation process. At this moment, Pei Ling's inner conflict between reason and desire is constantly pulling her in different directions. But when the system ripped the woman's clothes to shreds, all his reason went up in smoke in an instant. I don't want to either. But damn it, which man can control himself? I know what you're thinking, and yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. I'll enjoy on your behalf. He looked at the shy Li Lunaris beneath him. Pei Ling found that every part of his body was being infused with a strange power, not only rapidly healing the injuries he sustained while sparring with Wu Tingxi, but also rapidly increasing his cultivation level that had just broken through to the qi refining third layer. He looked at the Saintess beneath him, who was frowning slightly. Pei Ling was sweating all over, not knowing how the woman would torment and trample on him after waking up. His identity, as a member of the Path of Turtling, would definitely not be preserved. At this moment, Zheng Jingshan had just returned to Pei Manor. He learned from the Pei clan leader that Wu Tingxi had died, and his possessions had been personally retrieved by Fairy Li. Zheng Jingshan secretly rejoiced, thinking that perhaps senior sister would reward him for his contributions. How could he have known? Senior sister, who is beautiful, is being bullied by this boy. However, the next moment, his face turned ugly. Because the bone-quenching den placed in the cabinet was missing. He asked behind him, who broke in while I was away? A ghost immediately floated out of the screen behind him, and slowly transformed into the form of a woman. It gently whispered 2 words, Pei Ling, and said, and this person is now at your senior sister's residence, Cloudlift Pavilion. At the same time, inside Cloudlift Pavilion, the woman lying on the bed is slowly regaining consciousness. She can feel a pure energy continuously flowing into her body, and the injuries inside her body are quickly healing. This warm and comfortable feeling is making her reluctant to leave. The woman slowly opened her eyes, and was greeted by a stranger man. She instantly understood what had happened. She raised her right arm to strike the shameless scoundrel, but to her surprise, her wrist was caught. Not only was she pinned down again, but the man also swiftly flipped her over. At the same time, the system continues to control Pei Ling's body to accelerate her cultivation. She feels the rapid increase in her cultivation level within her body. With the continuous flow of pure energy, the woman's face is full of shame. Just as the two were immersed in cultivation, Zheng Jingshan has arrived at the entrance of Cloudlift Pavilion and sees the broken gate. Zheng Jingshan is shocked. Who would dare trespass the Cloudlift Pavilion? Looking at the woman below full of killing intent, Pei Ling had mixed feelings. Acting was fun for a moment, but afterwards, it was like a crematorium. However, the system doesn't care about these things. In the end, after the blending of yin and yang, the bodies fused together. Pei Ling finally obtained control of the body from the system, and at the same time, the system sent a prompt. One-click hosting, ascension without worries. If satisfied, please give a 5-star rating. Exhausted, Pei Ling lay on the woman, deeply exhaling a breath. He lifted his head, and happened to meet Fairy Li's eyes, which seemed to want to tear him to shreds. No time to explain, I have to escape now. However, just at this moment, footsteps of a formation could be heard outside. Following that was the voice of Zheng Jingshan, who dares to trespass into the Cloudlift Pavilion. My goodness, how did Zheng Jingshan come here? Pei Ling in the room is almost suffocating. Zheng Jingshan outside the room was also very shocked. He did not expect that senior sister's door was also damaged. He thought to himself, could it be that little guy Pei Ling again? Okay, you brat. It's one thing to steal my bone-quenching Dan, but I never expected you to even dare touch senior sister stuff. Zheng Jingshan was just about to settle the score for the Pei family. Suddenly, a string of bell sounds rang from the eaves. Instantly, a mouthful of blood spurted from Zheng Jingshan's mouth. He immediately knelt down on both knees on the ground. He kept kowtowing and begging senior sister for forgiveness. Then a familiar cold voice came from inside the house. The voice also contained a rage that had rarely been seen before. Get out! Zheng Jingshan didn't dare delay at all, immediately turned around and left. Pei Ling turned around and looked at the woman. She looked very embarrassed. I'm sorry, I just... Before Pei Ling could finish speaking, the woman walked straight past him. She walked into the screen area inside. She began washing her body with water. Seeing this situation, Pei Ling quickly put on her clothes and prepared to run away. However, the system once again popped up with a prompt. Satisfied, please give a 5-star rating. Pei Ling unexpectedly raised her middle finger and gave a 1-star rating. If the system could be uninstalled, I would make you leave in minutes. I'm sorry, the intelligent immortal cultivation system failed to provide the host with a good immortal cultivation experience. The system will provide a free essence nurturing Dan as compensation. Before Pei Ling could react, the system quickly took over his body. From the torn clothes of Fairy Li on the bed, he found a purse. After the system opened it, an essence nurturing Dan was taken out. The system then gave a prompt that the essence nurturing Dan has been gifted and wishes you a smooth cultivation. Pei Ling was dumbfounded. After sleeping with Saintess, then stealing from Saintess to reward me? What kind of scum system would do such a stupid thing? Pei Ling quickly picked up the essence nurturing Dan, intending to return it, and suddenly felt a chill down his back. The person who came was none other than Li Linares. Her eyes were cold and indifferent as she asked lightly, What are you doing? Oh no, now it's completely impossible to explain. He looked at the murderous Saintess. Pei Ling's heart is bitter, but she perseveres with the system. In the next life, I will definitely give you 10,000 negative reviews. In the next moment, a mushroom cloud rises from the cloud-lit pavilion. At the same time, Zheng Jingshan, not far away, was stunned. But fortunately, the Saintess did not go too hard on her future husband. Meiji brushed past Pei Ling. Pei Ling couldn't understand why the Saintess would show mercy to him. How would he know that it was Linares, who had just lifted the curse from him? Zheng Jingshan and Pei Hongyan, who heard the commotion, arrived at the scene. Pei Hongyan on the side was full of surprise. Pei Ling, why are you here? When Zheng Jingshan heard Pei Ling's name, his face immediately darkened. Then he accused Linares of being tricky and asked senior sister to punish her severely. But before he could finish speaking, he was slapped away by the woman. He fell to the ground and could not get up. Linares also made no explanation and took out an obsidian jade boat from his arms. She pinched a mantra, and the small boat swelled in the wind, transforming in an instant into a 3-story tall floating tall ship. The woman stepped onto the ship, turned around, looked at the few people, and said lightly, "Return to the sect." Pei Ling felt secretly delighted in his heart. They were finally leaving. Now I have successfully avoided trouble. But after waiting for half a day, the building boat remained still. He turned around and looked. He found Linares' eyes staring at him intently. Pei Ling had a bad feeling, planning to sneak away, but was directly stopped by Zheng Jingshan. "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and get on board." With no other choice, Pei Ling reluctantly boarded the ship. The ship finally started and turned into a streak of light, flying towards Deep Mist Sect. In this world, Pei Ling experienced flight for the first time, but he had no mood to appreciate the scenery around him. Instead, he sat crouched on the deck, trying to make himself look more inconspicuous. And inside the cabin, 2 fairies were quietly observing Pei Ling. They didn't understand why their master would personally lift the restrictions on the seductive ghost and Rakshasa painting. But the real drama was about to unfold. It turned out that Zheng Jingshan had come to cause trouble with Pei Hongyan. Only a hint of ferocity flashed across Zheng Jingshan's face. He said sternly, "Who gave you the courage to dare steal my bone-quenching Dan?" Pei Ling, who was taken aboard the ship, was crouching at the corner, praying to Zheng Jingshan not to blame himself. Stole his bone-quenching Dan, smashed his ancestral home, and the matter of cultivating in his room. But Zheng Jingshan did not intend to let him go. A fierce gleam flashed in his eyes, as he was about to take action. He suddenly realized. The marks of the seductive ghost and Rakshasa painting on Pei Ling's body have unexpectedly disappeared. He hesitated for a moment, suddenly realizing, could it be that Senior Sister personally intervened? It seems that Senior Sister holds this person in high regard. Luckily, I was wise enough not to act impulsively. Seeing that Zheng Jingshan showed no intention of taking action, Pei Ling quietly breathed a sigh of relief. On the side, Pei Hongyan exclaimed, "You are already at the Qi refining 4 layer. Just a few days ago, you were only at the Qi refining 2 layer." Zheng Jingshan also reacted upon hearing this exclamation. Can only take 1 bone-quenching pill at a time. Could it be that this kid cultivated 10 times in just 1 day? Perhaps this is why Senior Sister values him. He then took out a big machete less than 40 centimeters long. Pei Ling was instantly scared to the point of wetting herself. "Is he going to chop me?" Pei Hongyan exclaimed at the sight of this knife. It turned out to be the Nihil blade. "Senior brother, what do you want to do?" I didn't expect that Zheng Jingshan would casually say, "Considering your contribution to capturing Wu Tingxi, the 50 bone-quenching Dan you didn't receive before, the sacred sect has always been fair in rewards and punishments. Therefore, I will give you 2 a chance." I saw him slowly turning the handle of the knife, holding the blade with only 2 fingers, and speaking slowly. "I will only use 20% of my strength. Whoever can take the knife from between my fingers will own it." Pei Hongyan was elated beyond words. Without thinking, he took the lead and approached, gripping the knife handle tightly with both hands. He exerted all his strength, but couldn't move the knife even the slightest bit. Instead, he was knocked down by the menacing aura of the knife. A hint of mockery appeared at the corner of Zheng Jingshan's mouth. He handed the knife to Pei Ling in front of her. "Now it's your turn." Pei Ling quickly waved her hand, thinking that the creeper couldn't be so kind-hearted. With her own limited strength, she decided to give up. Zheng Jingshan's face darkened. "It seems like you looked down on my nihil blade." Then he pressed forward step by step. At this critical moment, two semi-transparent women in palace attire, who had been watching in secret, floated out. Senior sister's ghostly servant. Zheng Jingshan's pupils constricted. He involuntarily revealed a touch of fear and hastily asked respectfully, "Miss Grace and Miss Willow came together, but does senior sister have any instructions?" Willow, however, went straight to Pei Ling and lightly flicked her chin with her finger. "He's quite handsome, isn't he?" The next moment, she had a change in expression and coldly said, "Quickly draw your knife. If you disturb the master, I'll skin you alive." Pei Ling could only step forward and draw her knife in resignation. With a smug expression, Zheng Jingshan thought to himself, "Just at the chi refining for layer, how could she possibly draw this knife?" But the next second, his face changed drastically. Because along with Pei Ling's force, the nihil blade between two fingers was slowly pulled out. He watched as Pei Ling was about to pull out the nihil blade. Originally agreed to only use a strength of 2, Zheng Jingshan secretly increased it to 5. Facing Zheng Jingshan's 5-layer strength, Pei Ling unsurprisingly lost in the formation. Watching Pei Ling exhausted, Zheng Jingshan's mouth lifted as he prepared to make a move. However, their plan was directly interrupted by ghostly servant. "There's already one useless person, Pei Hongyan, on the master's mysterious bone tomb boat, and there can't be a second one. The lampshade in the master's room is old, so just use your skin to make a new one." Pei Ling was speechless and thought to himself, "Damn! Are you so vicious? Does your master know? Your master hasn't even touched me." He was planning to fight to the death. Willow suddenly spoke softly. "Sister, don't be like this. Master Pei Ling has always been in a remote place with limited exposure and strength. How can he be compared to a sacred sect disciple? In my opinion, it's better to let Zheng Jingshan restrain himself a bit and test him with only half of his cultivation level." Grace glanced at her, seeing Willow smile sweetly at her. With a slight movement in her heart, she said, "Then thank you, Pei Ling." Willow swiftly floated to Pei Ling's side, showing him a friendly smile. "Come on, you must work hard, or else you'll end up being just a lampshade for Sister Grace." Zheng Jingshan watched the duet between the two, thinking, "Could this be senior sister's intention? It seems like I won't be able to keep this knife after all." He could only pretend to be indifferent as he handed the knife back to Pei Ling again. As Pei Ling exerted force, the precious sword was instantly pulled out. Zheng Jingshan endured the pain of tears and encouraged Pei Ling to use this precious sword well in the future, without disgracing its reputation. Pei Ling quickly bowed and expressed her gratitude. Willow also praised Pei Ling. Then she took Pei Ling to the cabin to rest. As soon as they entered the cabin, Pei Ling felt a chilling coldness, accompanied by the occasional sound of knocking on the door. It truly lived up to the eerie reputation of the demonic Dao sect. Suddenly, a pair of crimson eyes peered out from the room behind him. Formation, she also rushed towards Pei Ling. "Step back." At a critical moment, Willow lightly rebuked, and those she slowly retreated. Pei Ling thanks Willow again, but Willow's face looks indifferent. During the conversation, the two of them arrived at Pei Ling's room, but Willow showed no intention of leaving. Instead, she turned her head and asked, "Young Master Pei, can I ask you a question?" Pei Ling didn't dare refuse and replied, "Miss, please go ahead." Just as his voice fell silent, Willow suddenly moved in front of Pei Ling, standing so close that she was almost touching the tip of his nose. Her pink eyes stared straight at Pei Ling's icy fingertips as she lightly caressed his neck and breathed out frostily, "Young Master Pei, Why do you have the scent of a master on you? Pei Ling was shocked, and cold sweat almost gushed out in an instant. He thought to himself, does she know what I did to her master? Willow slightly tilted her head, her cool tiny hand gently caressing his cheek, as if in an intimate gesture. She whispered softly, even Zheng Jingshan finds it hard to resist the demonic hard chant of the soul-binding calamity bell. Yet you can effortlessly commit treacherous acts against the master. I'm really curious what extraordinary qualities young Master Pei possesses? Pei Ling, who heard this, was both shocked and embarrassed. She not only knows about it, but clearly witnessed the whole process. And as for the heart demon bell and such, it was the system that helped me bear that responsibility. He then stammered and said, and maybe it's because of my unique constitution. Willow looked incredulous. Pei Ling quickly explained that when they were apprehending Wu Tingxi earlier, the latter claimed to have top-grade iron bone, implying his unique constitution. Willow seemed to understand that spiritual soul was especially stable and adept at body tempering. Such a powerful unknown physique is indeed worth bringing back to the sacred sect for in-depth study. At that time, the master will extract your spiritual soul for a little experiment. Maybe she will even discover something interesting. Pei Ling broke out in a cold sweat all of a sudden. Oh no, I was wondering why she insisted on bringing me on this broken ship. It turns out she sees me as a guinea pig. One would rather die than be tortured. On the side, Willow once again whispered in Pei Ling's ear, young Master Pei, you must be careful. The methods the master uses to torture people can make you unable to resist. After saying that, she swiftly knocked Pei Ling unconscious with a chop of her hand. In the instant before Pei Ling lost consciousness, he faintly glimpsed Willow's sly smirk. The figure that came leisurely with Linares. The next scene everyone definitely wouldn't like to see, so I'll skip it for everyone. Mysterious Bone Tomb boat is still tirelessly sailing towards Deep Mist Sect. Pei Ling in the room is inexplicably sweating all over. The two disciples outside are still complaining about why the mysterious Bone Tomb boat is sailing so slowly. It's been half a month, and they still haven't reached the sacred sect. Little do they know that the owner of the boat is currently providing Pei Ling with deluxe full-service, red light district style. And as there was no alarm clock in the room, they unconsciously realized that half a month had gone by. And Zheng Jingshan was planning to have Pei Hongyan take Pei Ling to outer. Pei Hongyan did not understand. What qualifications does that kid have to enter outer? Zheng Jingshan did not explain, and just let Pei Hongyan leave. Because this was ordered by Linares, he didn't dare to disobey. Half a month quickly passed by. On this day, Pei Ling slowly woke up from the bed, and found that her innate power seemed to have increased a lot. Just that her lower back was a bit sore. At this moment, a shout from Pei Hongyan came from the door. Pei Ling walked over slowly, and opened the door. At this moment, he looked pale and thin as a rail. I'm afraid he hasn't had a moment of rest in this past half-month. Pei Hongyan told him that the spaceship is about to arrive at Deep Mist Sect and asked him to pack up quickly. Pei Ling was taken aback and quickly closed the door. If he enters the sinister sect's path of turtling, can he still maintain his human identity? He needs to come up with a way to escape quickly. Just at this moment, a bunch of purple energy suddenly appeared in the room. Linares unexpectedly appeared in Pei Ling's room again. Wait for Pei Ling to react. A secret tome flew towards him, and hit the male lead square in the forehead. Linares said nothing more, leaving behind only one sentence: master it within 10 days, or die. She then turned around and disappeared. Pei Ling picked up the secret tome and saw on the cover, written in elegant cloud calligraphy, the words, Blood Fiend Blade Art. He had just turned the page when the system prompted a message. Detected unfamiliar blade art from the outside, currently being recorded. With a smug smile, Pei Ling thought to himself, with my cheat codes, what is there to fear? It was the first time he found the system so pleasing. The scene suddenly changed, and after half a month, the spaceship finally arrived at Deep Mist Sect. Following Pei Hongyan onto the deck, Pei Ling couldn't help but exclaim, "This is much more bustling than Luchuan City." Pei Hongyan introduced, "Here is the dust-cutting platform. New disciple will all enter the sect. The eternal farewell between mortal and immortal had been made, and they stepped onto a new, unknown path." He then planned to take Pei Ling to handle the outer procedures. Pei Ling thought, "I wonder what kind of characters exist in the outer. I might as well just be an outer sect disciple." He was about to refuse, but was stopped by Pei Hongyan grabbing his wrist. "Stop dawdling. This is an order from Senior Brother Zheng," he said. "Are you trying to defy the will of Celestial Master Zheng?" Pei Ling dared not to speak up. Shortly afterwards, the two of them arrived at the inheritance hall. After entering the door, he saw a shabby old man. The old man was lying sideways on a couch, holding a wine jar. The old man complained that he couldn't even drink in peace. Countless soul lamps lit up in the entire hall in an instant. Just in the split second when Pei Ling was distracted. The old man pointed his two fingers together and pointed towards the male main character in the air. Pei Ling's body suddenly stiffened and couldn't move. A wisp of essence blood slowly drifted out of her forehead, and with a whoosh, it melted into a soul lamp. The old man said lightly, "Once this soul lamp is ignited, you will be a member of the Demas sect. Take the sect rules and get out of here quickly." The two of them didn't dare to delay, picked up the sect rules and ran off. Pei Ling was overjoyed, not afraid of having too many rules, but afraid of having no rules. As long as I abide by the rules, why worry about not being able to make progress? Pei Hongyan couldn't help but chuckle at Pei Ling's fantasy. Once you read the rules, you'll understand. The biggest rule of Demas sect is that there are no rules. The male lead who has just arrived at Demas sect. He was scared to death by two fierce and evil-looking men. Fortunately, at a critical moment, Pei Hongyan arrived. He casually threw a nameplate and a storage bag to Pei Ling. Pei Ling looked at the nameplate, made of a phalanx bone, and felt nauseous. Indeed, worthy of the Yin sect. Pei Hongyan reminded, "This nameplate is the most important thing on you. It can save your life at a critical moment." He then took out a small paper boat from his bosom. The paper boat was thrown into the sea of clouds and rapidly grew larger. Then he jumped onto the paper boat, planning to take Pei Ling to their residence. But is this shaky paper boat really reliable? Fortunately, the paper boat was quite stable once it took off, just as Pei Ling was imagining what it would be like under the sea of clouds. A green feather drifted in front. Shortly after, a huge blue bird appeared. Before Pei Ling could react, it was knocked over by a wave, leaving Pei Ling shocked and pale. Why are there fiend beasts appearing in the sacred sect? When he was about to draw his sword to get rid of the bird, Pei Hongyan stopped him, saying that using a sword would damage the paper boat. Just as the two hesitated, the paper boat crashed into the nearby mountain, and the two fell from the clouds. Fortunately, both of them are cultivators and did not suffer too severe injuries. Pei Hongyan, hanging on a tree, is still feeling sorry for his paper boat. Suddenly, a cry came from beside. "Senior sister's son, we found Pei Hongyan. Now let's see where you can escape to." Watching the two aggressive individuals approaching, Pei Ling thought to himself that the strange bird must have been released by them. He was about to step forward to argue, but found that Pei Hongyan had already gone ahead. He instantly turned into a bootlicker. He just started licking excessively at a woman in green. But the next second, he was slapped away by the woman. I did not expect Pei Hongyan to not be angry at all, kneeling in front of the woman and constantly apologizing. Pei Ling looked speechless. I didn't expect Pei Hongyan to still be behaving like a lapdog. The woman in green was about to continue to lecture him. Pei Ling couldn't bear to watch anymore and stepped forward to grab the woman's wrist. The woman found that, despite both being at the chi refining fourth layer, she couldn't break free. She immediately changed her expression and said in a resentful tone, "Pei Hongyan, are you just going to watch your clan brother bully me like this?" Pei Hongyan, who heard this, immediately stood up. Younger disciple, stop being disrespectful to Orchid Junior's sister. Quickly let go of her hand. Watching senior brother Pei Ling, who once again appears to be a bootlicker, I can only back away. Later, Pei Hongyan asked Pei Ling to go to the affairs hall to find a place to stay. He followed Sun Orchid, and Pei Ling watched Pei Hongyan leave. Pei Ling couldn't help but twitch the corners of her mouth. What a big bootlicker, no shame. On this day, Pei Ling bid farewell to the bootlicker senior brother, and went to the affairs hall alone to choose her own residence. Faced with the estate promotion by senior brother, Pei Ling was speechless. She didn't expect that even after crossing over, she still had to choose a house. Before senior brother could finish speaking, he chuckled and said, "How about lending me some spiritual stones, senior brother? I promise I will." Before Pei Ling could finish speaking, she was coldly interrupted by senior brother. "Then go there. Head west for 100 miles from now on." At the same time, inside the mysterious bone tomb boat, Zheng Jingshan was reporting Pei Ling's situation to Fairy Li. Intrigued, Jingshan also wants to find out why Pei Ling is receiving such attention. Fairy Li just lightly sets down the teacup in her hand. She turned her head to Zheng Jingshan and said, "I heard you want to go mining in the Shadowfoot mountain range." Zheng Jingshan, seeing the situation was not right, immediately apologized and fled the room. Zheng Jingshan, who closed the door, secretly thought to himself that senior sister valued that kid so much that she asked me to take care of him in my name. Could it be that she is testing that kid? After Zheng Jingshan left the room, Fairy Li summoned the ghostly servant. She ordered, "Willow, keep an eye on Pei Ling." After a long journey, Pei Ling finally found her accommodation, but to her surprise, her accommodation turned out to be so luxurious. Tears couldn't help but flow down his face. It turned out that he had misunderstood senior brother in charge and walked into the courtyard. Pei Ling found that the doors of 3 rooms were sealed with talismans. It seemed that 3 senior brothers had already stayed there before, but they all seemed to be absent. Pei Ling, who had nothing to do, immediately took out the door rules and the Nihil blade, planning to study the door rules carefully. This is the foundation for surviving in the future. Deep Mist Sect has been established for tens of thousands of years, making it one of the top sects in this realm. Each peak under the jurisdiction of various domains is managed by the local affairs hall. The All Arts Hall sells cultivation techniques. The Treasures Hall sells artifacts. In addition, there is the Stewards Hall, responsible for surveillance and discipline. After getting a general understanding, Pei Ling quickly checked the house rules to avoid any issues in advance. But what Pei Ling didn't expect was that the entire house rules could be summarized in one thing: money compensation. Disciples fighting each other is fine with spiritual stones. Initiating violence is fine with spiritual stones. Causing injuries, or even killing in the pursuit of treasures, can all be resolved with spiritual stones. In short, as long as you have money, you can do whatever you want in the Deep Mist Sect. I never expected the unexpected to come so quickly. Suddenly, there was a noisy sound of formation coming from outside the house. At that moment, the door was kicked open with one swift motion. 3 unfamiliar men entered. One of them furrowed his brow slightly and asked, "Who are you?" Pei Ling quickly and obediently introduced herself. "Senior brother, my name is Pei Ling, and I am a new outer disciple at the 4th layer of Qi refining." Seeing this sudden appearance of a junior brother, the 3 men exchanged glances and secretly communicated. It is not the period for new disciples to join now. This person has a special identity, so let's not act rashly for now. Later, one of them introduced, "My name is Li Si, at the Qi refining 4 layer. The other 2 are Zhou Yi and Yao Cheng, at Qi refining 4 layer and 5 layer, respectively. Our meeting is fate. In the future, you will be taken care of by senior brother." Pei Ling quickly clasped hands in thanks, thinking that she hadn't expected to encounter such a good person in this gloomy sect. Later, the 3 of them inquired about how Pei Ling entered the outer. Pei Ling, seeing that the attitudes of the 3 were relatively calm, Pei Ling felt slightly relieved and said that it was arranged by innate peak master Zheng Jingshan, senior brother Zheng. Unexpectedly, Miao Cheng blurted out that Zheng Jingshan was just relying on his distant relationship with Fairy to secure his position as the innate peak master. Pei Ling was speechless, not expecting Zheng Jingshan's reputation to be so poor. Li Si continued, "Junior brother, don't blame Miao Cheng for having a conflict with the innate peak master's legitimate brother and Zheng Jingshan. My grandfather's clan sister, who is an outer elder Zhou Yi, is one of the true inheritances." Pei Ling was sweating profusely, feeling overwhelmed by all these relationships. Can't afford to mess with those well-connected individuals. Li Si continued to investigate the relationship between Pei Ling and Fairy Li. Pei Ling hurriedly explained that she did not dare to borrow Li Linares' name. Senior brother misunderstood. I just happened to be promoted by Celestial Master Zheng, and it has nothing to do with Fairy Li. Upon hearing this, Li Si's expression became somewhat subtle. He suddenly pointed at the Nihil blade and said, "Junior brother, does this sword look familiar?" Pei Ling quickly said, "Senior brother must be mistaken. This is just an ordinary sword." But Li Si insisted, "Indeed, it is the Nihil blade. Zheng Jingshan relied on this sword to defeat all opponents among the outer disciples back then." Zhou Yi was more direct, saying, "Junior brother Pei, name your price. I want this sword." Pei Ling smiled apologetically and said, "I'm sorry, senior brother Zhou. This sword was given to me by senior brother Zheng, so I can't sell it. It seems that the three of them did not regard Zheng Jingshan highly, seeing how Pei Ling had no sense of propriety." Zhou Yi punched him directly in the face. Pei Ling was directly knocked by the forceful punch and flew to the wall, raising a cloud of smoke and dust. When the smoke and dust cleared, Pei Ling was completely unharmed. Seeing that things could not be resolved today, Pei Ling no longer hesitated. He stood with both hands holding the handle of the knife in front of him, and said lightly, "If you want the knife, it depends on whether you have the ability." Miao Cheng only saw Miao Cheng chanting the mantra, brandishing the long sword in his hand. Two sword chi directly aimed at Pei Ling. Pei Ling was unable to dodge in time, and could only use the Nihil blade to resist. Although it easily cut down the chi blade, the blade of the Nihil blade suddenly trembled under the effect of the chi blade. Before Pei Ling could react, Zhou Yi's fist came pounding towards Pei Ling, and she dodged it with a quick move. Seeing several people not holding back in their attacks, Pei Ling became furious. Holding the Nihil blade in her hand, she wildly swung it in front of her. At this moment, Li Si, who had been silently observing, suddenly spoke up to give a warning. "He doesn't know blade art. Knock the Nihil blade away." Then he quickly recited a mantra, and two semi-transparent spirits swiftly charged towards Pei Ling. The novice Pei Ling in the Jianghu hurriedly used his knife to defend himself, but to his surprise, the two spirits passed directly through his body. Pei Ling felt as if his head had been heavily struck by a sledgehammer, causing dizziness, weakness, and numbness in his limbs. Then, he forcefully gathered his energy, wielded the Nihil blade, and forced the spirit Li Si back. Seeing Pei Ling recovering so quickly, Li Si was greatly surprised. How sturdy could his spiritual soul be after all? Just as Pei Ling was entangled with the spirit, Zhou Yi rushed forward. He struck Pei Ling heavily with an elbow to the chest. Pei Ling spat out a mouthful of blood, and the large knife in his hand also slipped away. The enraged Pei Ling endured the pain and exerted all his strength. He punched Zhou Yi in the face. Then he grabbed Zhou Yi's collar with his left hand. He threw him onto Li Si, who came running over. Miao Cheng saw that both of his companions had fallen to the ground. He was extremely angry. "Kid, don't be arrogant. I am at the Chi Refining 5 layer." After speaking, two sword chi attacks came. Without the defense of the Nihil blade this time, Pei Ling spurted out two streams of blood instantly. Seeing the attack take effect, Miao Cheng was ecstatic, and was about to inspect the Nihil blade. Unexpectedly, just as his hand was about to grasp the Nihil blade, it was then that Pei Ling's foot had already stepped on his arm. The young master's knife is also something you can touch. Then he launched a knee strike, sending Miao Cheng flying. The three of them, seeing that Pei Ling was so difficult to deal with, all attacked Pei Ling at the same time. Pei Ling picked up the treasured sword and struck with force, forcing the three people to retreat. But he himself was also nearing the end of his strength. Miao Cheng resisted two sword chi from Pei Ling with all their strength, but their confidence was starting to waver. He forcibly gathered his energy and roared, "Pei Ling, we will not let today's events go unpunished. Then I will kill all three of you," Pei Ling suddenly retorted. His voice was not loud, but it carried a chilling ruthlessness. The three of them were shocked by Pei Ling's overwhelming momentum, and felt their livers and gallbladders tremble. Could it be that they would really lose their lives here today? But the next moment, Pei Ling suddenly changed direction and rushed towards the nearby gate at an even faster speed, disappearing in the blink of an eye. About half an hour later, Pei Ling, panting heavily, stopped in a dense forest. He was filled with fear in his heart, almost forgetting the rules of the underworld sect. Killing a fellow sect member would incur a fine of 10,000 spiritual stones.